If you are a developer and you're not making $100,000 a year, you're wasting your time. There is a huge opportunity for Web3 developers right now, and the reason is simple: there is not enough Web3 developers out there. Today I discussed with Sébastien, the founder of Motoko Bootcamp, which is a one-week bootcamp which will teach you about the benefits of Web3, about a new coding language called Motoko, created for development on the Internet Computer Protocol, and by the end of this bootcamp, you will have developed your own DAO. Also, at the end of this bootcamp, you will have job opportunities starting from 100,000 per year, and the best part is that this bootcamp is completely free. There is no fees whatsoever at any point during the bootcamp. Keep in mind that this bootcamp is going to be one full week, so you will need to take days off from your work if you're working, which I assume everybody is working. And lastly, you shouldn't join this bootcamp if you're not 100% serious that you want to do it. You will waste your time and everyone else's. And with that said, let's go into the video. So Sébastien, thank you for joining me today. Welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm super excited to talk about Motoko Bootcamp today.
I am also excited because when we talked in private, you mentioned that the Motoko Bootcamp is a huge opportunity, and I want everybody to know about it. We'll get to it in a second. What I want us to talk about first is, like, we keep hearing this word Web3. So for the people watching at home, what exactly is Web3?
Web3 is about ownership of applications on the internet. So, we have been using services like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and so on, but we don't own any part of it. And we are part of those networks. And just by being part of them, we bring them value, basically, because if you are on Facebook, your friends are on Facebook. So those are network effects. And the idea is that with Web3, we have the technology to give ownership of those applications to the users. So usually in form of tokens. So you can make money as a user, and as a developer, it's a different way to build your application and also to fund your applications. It's really cool movement, and there are a lot of things that we could talk about. But this is basically the thing is about ownership.
And why should we care to own the apps that we're using?
They will make money because they own some part of the application. So they don't need to care about the, I would say, philosophy of Web3. There are some advantages about Web3, like financial advantages. So usually that's, many people started like this because they got into the Web3 space for like financial interest. And then you start to dive into it more, you educate yourself, and then you get to understand also that it's not only about this side, it's also like kind of a change of how things work.
So how is Web3 a good opportunity, for example, for developers?
So it's a good opportunity because it's a new technology. So there are not a lot of people that actually know how to use, like how to build in Web3 properly. And usually the salaries are higher because, of course, if there are less people and there is demand, so the salaries are higher. And also it's really cool. I can talk a bit more about why, but it's cool to build. So you have like the financial aspect and also the cool aspect of Web3.
I completely agree, because right now it is pretty hard to find a developer that has knowledge about Web3 and especially about the Motoko coding language. I remember when we were looking for a developer, it was super hard to find somebody who knows Motoko. So let's go into what Motoko Bootcamp is and how they help developers learn Motoko. So what do you guys do? What is Motoko Bootcamp?
Maybe first, what is Motoko? Because I know that a lot of people are confused with this. So Motoko is a programming language that you can use to build applications on ICP, on the Internet Computer. And so it's a new language because the platform is new. And so there are new ways of building applications. And that's why Definity, so the foundation that created the Internet Computer, decided to also create a new language. And so this is a language for beginners. It's similar to JavaScript or Python. We have different types of languages, like high level, low level. This is a high level language, so it's easier to learn. And it's a language dedicated to the Internet Computer and Web3. And so Motoko Bootcamp is a 7-day program where you learn Motoko, but also you learn about Web3, the Internet Computer, and DAOs. So you learn about a whole range of things, and you build projects, and you build them in Motoko.
When the Internet Computer Protocol was created, what's the reason why they decided to create a new coding language as well?
Building on ICP is not the same as building on Amazon Web Services or like traditional Web2 developments. So they needed a new language because they wanted it to be as easy as possible. you can build with other languages, but the other languages are not going to change because there is a new platform. So it's actually harder to use those languages to build on ICP. So they decided to create a new language to make it as easy as possible. And as a community, we have full control over Motoko. So we can change the language, we can adapt it as the ICP evolve. So, new features are added, then new features are added into the language. It's essentially, to make it as easy as possible. Like Solidity on Ethereum, we have Motoko for ICP.
Who is the perfect candidate to do the Motoko Bootcamp? For example, I have no coding knowledge at all. Could I go through a Motoko Bootcamp?
Okay, good question. So the perfect candidate is someone that already has some experience, like with Python or JavaScript. We had previous bootcamps, and I had some students that actually had never coded, and they really liked the bootcamp. So they learned about this new language, and they started to actually learn more about coding just because of ICP and Motoko Bootcamp. But I will not lie here. If you are new to coding, it's going to be very hard, of course, because it's a lot of things to learn. The ideal candidate is someone that wants to learn about Web3 and wants to get involved, that has passion and interest, of course. And then I would say, someone that is looking to do beyond what is possible, like someone that is curious and wants to build maybe not a startup, but wants to be at the edge of technology and at the edge of what's possible, with some experience, 5 years of experience maybe, and a huge desire to learn. There have been so many different backgrounds. I think everyone has something to contribute to Web3. So I had front-end developers, back-end developer. I even had, like more like technical founder that they are not necessarily coding anymore, but they want to get a refresh because of this new Web3 technology. Yeah. And also junior, juniors, if you are looking to start to learn how to code, it's the best place to do it. That's also one of my belief. If you want to learn to code in 2023 and 2024, start learning in Web3, because you are going to be there for the opportunities. Maybe not in 1 week, but in a few months, you can get opportunities. And why learn something old when everyone is moving to a new stack? You can get ahead. That's what I did essentially. I took a bet, I would say, saying okay, I think in a few years everyone will be in Web3, so I'm going to start learning Web3, and that paid off a lot. Yeah.
What is the average salary, let's say, for a Web3 developer right now? What are you guys looking to hire somebody for?
I received some Motoko offers, and I won't say from who.
Mm-hmm.
I received an offer for being a Motoko developer that was way above 100K per year. So that's one example, and that was not the only one. I would say the average salary is, a minimum would be 80K annual to 150, 160K. But it depends on your experience. If you are already an experienced developer, you can of course get more. If you are a junior, that's probably going to be in the lower hand. And also it depends on what type of company you will join. So if you're joining a small startup, you are usually getting a smaller salary, but you have more advantage. You have more parts of the company, you have more tokens allocated to you. On the other side, if you're joining a more established startup, a bigger team, you will get a bigger salary, but usually less token or less share of the company. So it depends on what you're looking for, but yeah, the salaries are pretty good in Web3.
I'm considering, stopping the content creation and becoming a developer myself. This is incredible. And can you have those salaries from anywhere in the world? You can work on your laptop, be a developer from a laptop from wherever you are?
Yeah, that's also a very cool thing about working in Web3. So I work different positions, and no one has ever asked me you need to be in this location. I'm not someone that travels a lot because I like to be focused, and in my space. But in theory, I could be working from anywhere in the world, and that wouldn't change my salary or like what I'm doing. You just need a computer and internet connection. So yeah.
How does the bootcamp look like? So let's say today is day one. How does the schedule look like, and what do the developers do?
It's a mix of different modules and different projects. So essentially, the goal of the week is to build a DAO. That's the first day. I will explain everything. You have a mission. Your mission is to build a DAO, and we can talk about exactly what is a DAO later. But you have to build this project, and then all the rest is here to support you in this mission. So I'm doing mentorship session every day, so you can come and ask me any question if you want to be troubleshooting, if you have problem with your code. I also do lectures, so I essentially code and explain how I'm doing what I'm doing at the moment. And every day you have a mini project that is corrected, so you get like sample projects that you can use as example in your bigger project of the week. And also each bootcamp is different because sometimes we have speakers that come, either past students or people that are working in the Web3 industry. They come and they present their project, they give advice to new students. And we also have like more relaxed session at the end of the day, usually just like sometimes gaming session, sometimes meditation session to, make something a bit different.
I wish I was a developer, and like I wish there were like a bootcamp for like video creators. I would be like the first one to join. So let's say I was a developer and I joined. How would my week look like? So how many hours a day are we coding? How many, like, do I need to take a break from my work? Like, what's the process?
It's a huge program. We are talking about new technologies and building a DAO and learning about a new language. Like, there are so many things to do. So if you want to join, you need to be committed. It needs to be your priority for the week, and you need to, set your calendar free. How is your week going to look like? Well, the first day you will join the opening ceremony. So we essentially welcome you into the bootcamp. I explain everything you need to know, how you can access the resource, what projects you will build, and also you join a team. That's a super important part because the idea is not to let you on your own, but to make you connect with other students. So you join your team and you build your first project. At the end of the first day, you should already have deployed like your application and have some basic project running. After that, it just keeps on expanding, so you have more content and more projects, more and more complex. And then on the weekend, so we usually start on Monday and we end on the Sunday. On the weekend, you finalize your project, you make this latest modification, and then you submit and you graduate if you completed everything you needed to do.
You mentioned the end goal of the bootcamp is that every student gets to create a DAO. First of all, what is a DAO?
So a DAO is an organization, a community of people that decides to use blockchain technologies to organize themselves. So, we have been using different type of organizations, like a country is an organization, a company is an organization, and DAO is just a new way of organizing people using Web3 and blockchain technologies. So the idea is that we create a space, we create rules, and people work together using those new applications and those new tools.
In the crypto space, we kept hearing like the word DAO, at least in the last bull run, but we've seen many instances where DAOs were actually not like real DAOs. Like, although people voted for something to happen, the people at the top said, you know what, I don't care about your votes, I'm going to do it anyway. How is an ICP DAO different than a regular crypto DAO?
I am super excited by the mix between ICP and DAOs. That's why I decided to focus the bootcamp on DAOs. That's a choice I made because on ICP, DAOs can actually do things. So previously we had DAOs. The concept is not new. It's around for a few years. But right now, most DAOs, they can only control a treasury. So they can essentially vote on what to do with money. But they don't have like, they still use centralized tools, centralized applications to organize themselves. That's a huge problem because you still have to trust people, for example, to run the front end of your application, to run the Discord, to run your social media, and you cannot decentralize that. So essentially most DAOs are just centralized and they are not really what a DAO should be. And on ICP, we can do things differently because DAOs can control applications. So applications built on ICP. So that means they can control social media, they can control websites, games, and that's I believe, like the next step for DAOs. That's where they become, really, really useful.
How do you think DAOs will evolve, in the coming years? Like, how do you think DAOs will actually have an impact on the world that we know today?
Okay, so I have a prediction for your listeners. So everyone that is listening to this, in the next 10 years, you will work for a DAO or create your own DAO or participate in a DAO. And it's actually like it's not a bold prediction, because if you are already involved in ICP, you are probably already involved in the NNS, which is the DAO that manage the ICP. And for the rest, many people think that DAOs are just about like technical applications and like kind of nerd things, but it's not. Actually, DAOs are about any kind of subject. So there could be a DAO for like educative purposes, there could be a DAO for investment, there could be a DAO for agriculture, science, like all topics that we have, all industries that exist, there will be DAOs for it. And so if you're listening to this right now, it doesn't matter what you like, what you're passionate about, because there will be a DAO and there will be a community of people that are also passionate and want to work with you. I can talk a bit more, but I think DAOs are about to unlock opportunities for people all around the world. We had the internet that made knowledge accessible to all, but not necessarily the opportunities. Like, still the highest paying jobs, the best careers are still mostly like in the US or like West countries. DAOs are about to unlock opportunities like worldwide. It's complicated to start to work for a company sometimes. Like, it takes a long time. You have the recruiting process. When you work for a company, you need to stay there. It's not like flexible. DAOs are super flexible structures. So I believe people will work for different DAOs and kind of, combine their interests, because each person has a specific set of interests. Maybe you like video creation, but you also like coding a bit, and you're also passionate about gardening or whatever. We have common interests, but we don't have like everyone has a specific set. If you combine all the interests of people, everyone is unique in a sense. And I believe DAOs will make possible for people to essentially find better jobs or better opportunities, because they will be able to combine different communities and different gigs and jobs. And it will be better for everyone, like for the jobs and also for the DAOs, because when you do something you're passionate, you're more efficient.
What do you think is going to be like the biggest company that comes to the Internet Computer Protocol to decentralize itself, like using the SNS, for example?
I'm not sure. It's a very hard question to answer. I actually talked with someone that is working in Web3 and worked at the biggest company on the planet. So she worked at Apple, Nike, Goldman Sachs, and she actually told me. I asked him exactly the question that you just asked me, and she answered me that we are still a few years away from that, because those companies, they understand the benefit of Web3, but it requires so much like new way of organizing that they are not ready to make a step, because it's they have years of practices of management. They have technology stack that they cannot just move to Web3 from one day to another. And so actually it's going to take a very, very long time before we see companies migrating fully to Web3 with the DAO aspect I just mentioned. So I'm more bullish on actually developers and community members creating their new way of organizing themselves. If you're new to all of this, you have an advantage because you don't have already existing structure to move to Web3.
So do you think that this is the direction in which like the world is moving, like Web3 and decentralized applications and applications governed by the people? Like, do you think this is the future?
Yes, I believe. But we need to precise a few things. So one thing is, for example, not everyone is technically able to vote on a coding proposal. Like, for example, on ICP, we have applications where you need to vote when a new code is released. So the developers will create a new code, and then they put that to the DAO. There is a public proposal. Everyone has to vote. And not everyone is qualified to, look at the code and think, is it a good code or is it not? So when we say like power to the people or like decentralization, it's very hard to actually define what it means. But yes, I believe that the new like waves of applications, like the next Facebook and the next Instagram and YouTube and so on, they will be created and managed by DAOs. Then how exactly those things organize, I don't have all the answers. That's why also Motoko Bootcamp is a place where we experiment. Like that's the kind of question you would be trying to answer during the week.
It would be so cool if like the next Facebook or the next YouTube or the next, big social media platform actually comes from the Motoko Bootcamp. It's going to be crazy. Like
Yeah.
this video is going to be crazy and people will see like, I cannot believe that 2 years ago or like 10 years ago, I watched this video and I didn't take action. So let's say I am a developer right now and I'm on the fence about Web3. What are the benefits that I should be expecting from, going through the bootcamp? What are some of the opportunities that I will now have as a developer who now knows about Motoko and Web3?
First, if you are on the fence about Web3, I totally get it. I understand. Because right now, what we've seen about Web3 is mostly like the speculative part. So mostly people playing with tokens. And we haven't seen the real like value created, the real use cases. And that's what Motoko Bootcamp is focusing on. We are not going to teach you how to make quick bucks. We are teaching you how to really use Web3 technologies. What you should expect during the bootcamp, a lot of learnings, a lot of new discoveries. It will change the way you see Web3. And of course, projects and many, many connections. After the bootcamp, we have many things. So I'm working in a Web3 studio. So we have other initiatives. We have a recruiting agency. So we connect you with startups. If you're looking for a job, we can have a job for you. Um, we are also working on an accelerator program. So if you have a project, like during the bootcamp, you think, oh, this is really cool, I want to build this, you can come and pitch to us. And maybe we will accept to work with you. So that means we can fund you, we can give you a team, we can give you support. Even beyond that, there are many things, like you could have a grant. So you could receive some funding to work on your project. You could maybe raise funds. For example, you could do like a SNS and you could raise funds by yourself, or even unfunded. There are many, many different ways to go after Motoko Bootcamp.
For the people at home like watching this and they probably like hear this, yeah, you go through this program and then we want to work with you and we'll give you opportunities. No, like those opportunities are real. Like if you have a project and it's a good project with a future, you can apply for a Definity grant and you will get a grant if the idea is good. With your guys' network, you are constantly looking for developers and to build teams and to connect people with one another. So those things can happen. Like it's not just come here, you pay us like $10,000 for this bootcamp and you go there. How much is the bootcamp?
It's completely free.
It's completely
totally
free. Yeah,
Yes.
This is what I'm talking about. You don't have to give us your email. We'll try to sell you something. Like you as a developer, if you feel that you're stuck, you go and register to the Motoko Bootcamp. It's going to take 1 week. You're going to learn a bunch about Web3 and the Motoko language, and you're going to get a bunch of opportunities. And at the very least, you learned something new and it didn't cost you anything, right? So I think this is a no-brainer. How often are the bootcamps?
So the bootcamps are every month. We do physical and online. So each bootcamp is always online. We want the bootcamp to be as accessible as possible. If you are living South America, in Africa, in Asia, you can join us. And we are also doing physical editions. I cannot talk right now because we are still working on the exact location, but I want to move to different countries and do a bootcamp also in different places.
That would be super cool. And I think like after every bootcamp, you probably see like who are like the best students who really want to be there. Like there's a lot of opportunities for people that give their best. They prove they're more capable than the rest, because that's going to happen. Like in every classroom, in every school, there is the people that want to do it, and there is the people who want to do it less.
Of course, yeah.
Let's talk about the previous bootcamps. How many students are like on average in a bootcamp, and what happened to the average student and what happened to like the top students?
We have been running this bootcamp for a year, and previously we were only doing one bootcamp every 3 months. And so we have 300 graduates in total, usually around 100 people per bootcamp. But it depends. Sometimes, some bootcamps we had actually way more than that, and some bootcamps a bit less than that. It's, it depends on how people react. But yeah, around 100 people. So what happens to the average student and to the best student? So the average students, usually they complete their project, they receive a diploma. So we also have a certification, like NFT certification, that you receive forever. You will have this one forever. And they got connected. Some of them start to build their own projects, some of them with funding, some of them without funding. They can also join hackathon and go beyond in their I would say ICP and developer
They
journey.
can join what?
Hackathon.
Hackathon. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
So I'm not organizing them by like right now, but there are other ecosystem members that organize hackathon where you build more and more projects, and that's where you can get more opportunities for funding. And the best students, well, I've seen some people getting a job in like 1 week. Yeah. So the best students usually are the one that they go beyond. They always either create something amazing or they help other people. That's something I've noticed. Like the best student I had and the one that actually had the best chances to find a job or like find funding, they actually help other people. That's super cool to see. Usually by reaching out either to me or creating some tutorials by themselves. I've seen people doing this like spontaneously. That's super cool.
I'm curious, how did you start your journey on the Internet Computer Protocol?
So I was already into crypto for a long time. Like around 2017, I was looking into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I was super interested by the philosophy and the ideas, but I didn't see myself really involved. I didn't know what to do. Like, how can I contribute? I didn't know at the time. Things changed in 2021 for me. That's when I heard the term Web3. I watched a 20-minute video on YouTube of a guy that was talking about Web3, and it was like a revelation to me. Like everything made sense. How crypto and Web3 relates to each other. How is the internet going to change and transform? And I was really like, okay, this is super cool. I want to be involved. I don't know how, but I want to be involved. And so I started to look into blockchains and look into ways to build. I tried many things like Ethereum, Polkadot for a few weeks, and then I found out about ICP actually through the guy that had this video on YouTube. I contacted him, we had a call, and he explained what is ICP and everything. And I was like, okay, this is super cool. I want to start building on ICP. And yeah, I want to say at the time I had no coding experience. Like I studied maths, so I knew what was a function, an algorithm, and how programming works, but I was not a web developer. And I just started to build things on ICP, like really, really early, even before the network was launched. And I shared that with like people that were in the community at the time. Of course, it sucked in the beginning, and then after like a few months, I started to do cool things.
I think that the biggest problem that most people have is not that, they don't want to do stuff or they're lazy. I think the biggest problem is that they don't have somebody to give them a direction, right?
Yeah.
What you guys are doing is basically gathering a team of people that all have the same interest, showing them exactly what they have to do in a structured way, and being there to keep them accountable and to make sure they are doing what they're supposed to do. And it only takes 1 week and you get a certification. You will be a certified Web3 developer. That in itself is great, but then you give them the opportunity to either find a job or to take the project, on and keep developing it. So I think, honestly, so it's not that we're doing this podcast. I think it's a great opportunity. It is free. It takes a week of your time. I think everybody who's watching this video and they are on the fence, like, I don't know if it's for me. Even if it's not for you, it's going to be a week, right? Even if you decide, I don't want to do this, I want to stay and work, my normal job, it's a week, bro. Like if you
Yeah.
watch a series on Netflix, you're gonna waste more than a week anyway. So
Actually, I often get asked, like, why is it free? Like, how do you guys provide so much value and don't charge for that? I think it's a combination of many factors. So I will explain, because actually sometimes people reach out to me and they tell me like it's a catch, like it's too good to be true.
there has to be a catch, yeah.
So it's a combination of many factors that make the bootcamp free, and I want to explain all of them. So the first thing is that we are very confident in the technology, so ICP, and so we believe that education is the best way to grow the ecosystem. We know that like there is a lot of misinformation, and people, it takes time to understand how things work. And with the bootcamp, we're actually building the ecosystem. So for us, that's a huge like advantage of the bootcamp. The second factor is that I'm honestly putting a lot of energy into it. I don't know if I will run that forever, because yeah, it takes a lot of resource and time from me. So right now, I can see myself doing it for the next months because I'm really passionate about that. But yeah, I don't know if this will be like forever. And the last thing is that I have the support of the studio, so Code and State, and they are helping me make this a free opportunity. If they were not supporting me, I couldn't do it for free. So I think the biggest opportunities are right now. And yeah, I don't know if this will be free forever, honestly.
I'm sure it will not be free forever because when there will be enough Web3 developers, there will not be a need. Like people will pay big amounts of money to become certified in something that people are looking for. When the masses will discover this video and this initiative, I think that the free bootcamps, I believe, will be over. Code and State, the company that is backing the Motoko Bootcamp, they have a conference going on, right? So
Yes.
can you talk about what Code and State is and what they do?
Yeah, sure. So Code and State is a venture studio for Web3. So if you're watching this and you don't know what is a venture studio, that was also my case when I started. So a venture studio is a company that creates other company. So essentially Code and State is a place where you can join us if you have an idea, and we help you become the best entrepreneur that you can become. So we help you with funding, we help you with like design, marketing, technical support, recruiting, like basically building a team, building a solid startup, and then launching in 1 or 2 years. So it's yeah, it's an accelerator, basically like venture studio accelerator, and they keep a part of the company when you launch it. So that's how they essentially run the business. But beyond that, we are also looking to expand our ecosystem. So we have those community initiatives. The Motoko Bootcamp is one, and we also have the community conference. So the community conference is annual event that we run. So we ran the first one in May 2023 in Miami, and it was essentially a gathering for all people involved in the ICP ecosystem, or as much people as possible, like builders, founders, developers, influencers, and so on. And we had we had like talks, speak, and networking sessions. And the next one will be in 2024. I cannot talk about it, but like more information will be released soon.
It's secret stuff. Yeah, people can watch the old Code and State conference on your guys' YouTube. I will have it in the description below. What is your honest opinion about the Internet Computer Protocol? Because there is a lot of people that still hate on it, and like the only reason why people hate on it is like the price. And like there's countless of videos of how the price was manipulated. So I don't want to go into that. I want to go into like, what do you think about the technology that Dfinity has built?
So the technology is really amazing. It's, for me, it's completely game changer. Like for me, there are three main things that happen in crypto and Web3. There is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ICP. So I won't explain Bitcoin and Ethereum, like that's for another time, another video. But most other blockchains, they are trying to either be faster or like more decentralized, or add like tweak a little thing, but it's still essentially the same like concept. It's still just a modified version of Bitcoin or Ethereum. ICP is completely different. They've rebuilt things from scratch, and there are things that you just cannot do at the same scale than on ICP. So I think the technology is amazing. We can talk about maybe what could be like the reasons for the price, the ecosystem growth, and everything, but the technology is just amazing. Yeah.
So Bitcoin introduced the blockchain, and then we had like the second big innovation, which was Ethereum, which introduced smart contracts, and that was a big deal. Like all of a sudden, we had smart contracts. So for people watching, super basically, what are smart contracts? Why was it a big innovation?
Essentially, people look at Bitcoin, so they Bitcoin was around, they could send money, and all other like altcoins at the time were like just fork and variation of Bitcoin. And so that was cool. People could send money, but they couldn't do many things with the money. Like actually, they, beyond sending money, they couldn't do many things. So a bunch of smart people like Vitalik and his team at the time, they started to implement smart contracts, which is essentially enables you to program things with the money. So instead of just being able to send money, you could do more things like lending money, borrowing money, program like wallets, and more complex setups with the money. So that's why we had like this huge decentralized finance bubble, and like people talk about that because that was made possible by the the Ethereum like platform. And so ICP is going beyond that. It's not just about the token aspect, it's about the whole application, like the website, the front end, the back end. You can do everything on so it's called a canister, which is essentially a like a new kind of primitive that you can use. It's a decentralized server. So think about Bitcoin like decentralized money, Ethereum decentralized finance, and ICP would be decentralized computer or decentralized server, because you can store files, you can process any kind of computation, and you can do that from the blockchain. So yeah, and I think it will lead to what we talk about, like Web3, those application, like decentralized application, decentralized social media, and all those things.
Let's do a recap. Like Motoko Bootcamp, it's 100% free. It takes 1 week. In this 1 week, you will create a DAO. You graduate, and then you have a bunch of hiring opportunities. If you are actually there to learn and to do like the most you can, there is opportunities for you, and you meet people that can help you along the way. And there is no catch. You're saying there is no catch.
There is no catch. I mean, it's completely free and you can just check it out. Like, it's a big opportunity that I don't think will be there forever.
How can people join the bootcamp?
It's pretty simple. Just go to motokobootcamp.com. Then you can click on Get Started, and you have 3 options to get started. So the first one is the recommended one, which is the workshop. I do 2 workshops every week to help people get started. It's a 1-hour workshop where I explain what is Motoko. It's more technical than the conversation we had, but I explain like what is Motoko, what is ICP, what can you do in Web3, and then after that, how you can join the bootcamp. If you are not available during the workshop, there is a self-study option, so you can just start, click on start, you'll receive a document that explains how you can register to the bootcamp and everything. Then we have the bootcamp, which is you can click on register. So we have the dates of the next 4 bootcamps. You click on register, it opens a Zoom webinar invitation. You just put your name, email address, register, and then you join the session. It's the onboarding session that I was talking about. It's a session in the beginning of the week. On Monday, I explain everything you need to know. There are more things to do, like you can also join our Discord, because it's a huge part. We have a Discord where I am there to like answer questions and like put announcement and everything. And of course, you can follow us on social media. We have Twitter, OpenChat, Instagram, and so on.
So that is it? Like you add your name, your email address?
Yeah, that's it. During the week, you will need to log in to our platform. So you can see that on the website, we have a login button. This is not necessary to register, but this is necessary to do the bootcamp. So we have an online dashboard. You can only log in with internet identity right now. I'm working on adding more like wallets and other ways of logging, but right now it's just internet identity. You create your account, then and then you essentially, this is like a dashboard where you have all the resource and all the projects that you need to build. But this is only like during the week. So you can already log in if you want to take like, get ahead. But otherwise, I will explain like on Monday and on the onboarding session how you can log in and create your account and so on.
So the next bootcamp starts in 4 days, like almost 5 days. It's going to be like the next bootcamp. Is there anything that we didn't mention in this podcast?
I think we are good. Yeah.
Perfect. I want you to come back like whenever you want, whenever you have updates, like you can send me a message, and you're welcome back anytime. For everybody looking to join the Motoko Bootcamp, go to motokobootcamp.com. Perfect. Seb, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the podcast, and thank you for explaining the Motoko Bootcamp and this opportunity to us. Hopefully, we'll see people register to the bootcamp, and like the next one is in 4 days. So thank you very much for tuning in, and good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And don't forget to register to the Motoko Bootcamp. The website is going to be the first link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.